sharing maybe 2 minutes about what you do and who you are, and then we can get into what you guys want to talk about.
Awesome. Very cool.
Perfect.
Want to start, Joe?
I'll start.
Yeah,
I'll tee you up. I'll be the opening act, and you can be the main event then. So my name is Joe Hashey. I have 3 training facilities in upstate New York. We started out with just training athletes, and we do athletes and adults. Right now we have a membership of about 750 personal training style clients. So it's not like an open gym. We guide everyone through personal workouts to renew their energy and feel great. I got to know Brendan through the old training circuits over the years. We go way back. I'm not going to go down that path, but everyone who follows him and the Mike Boyle stuff's in really good hands. And I cross paths with Vince, who runs an amazing group called SPF, who helps business owners, gym owners grow their gyms. And I've been able to work with Vince as a business coach as well to help out his group. So I'm going to tee him up and let him take it from there.
Well, I'm not sure why I'm the main event, considering I don't have 750 clients, nor do I have 3 gyms. I only have 1 gym, so I think you should be the main event if we're talking.
You have stacks of books, and I have like an old lady painting for my grandmother.
That is true.
So
That's either.
That's why you're the main event.
That's right. It was either look at the stacks of books when I speak, or look at my kids running back and forth from the screen at home. So. But yeah, my name is Vince Gabriele. I started my gym in 2008. So been going for close to 13 years now. And I worked in California for about 5 years for a guy named Todd Durkin, who speaks with Boyle and the rest of the guys on the Perform Better tour. And I worked there for 5 years, moved to New Jersey, and my gym's been going since 2008, and it still goes today. I do majority of my time is spent today, as Joe mentioned, coaching business owners, and we've launched a marketing agency for gym owners and fitness professionals as well at the same time. But my gym still does run today. I guess if you're going to look at a differentiator that we have, myself and Joe, there's a lot of coaches out there, but both of us still have gyms that are running. And so we take a lot of what we see in the day-to-day of our own gyms and our own leadership of our people, and use that in our coaching as well. So it's been awesome to work with Joe. At the same time, he's one of the gym owners in the country that I respect the hell out of, and he's doing a phenomenal job, not only as a gym owner, but a phenomenal job as a business coach as well. And so I'm excited to get into it today. It's the first time, Joe, we've ever really co-presented. We've co-presented on stage before, but never on a Zoom. So
I was going to ask you guys if you only for me. That's right. I was going to ask you guys if you had done this before.
No, just
not like this. No.
Yeah, not like this. So excited for it, and I like the topic because I look at it 2 different ways. If I'm a gym owner and I might not have the technical skills, I can generate revenue by getting referrals tomorrow. You don't need to learn anything new. But also I look at it, if there's other people that might be CFSC or have one of your certs that work somewhere. If I had an employee that could generate referrals, that employee is going to get promoted very quickly. So there's a lot of value that can be had here, whether you're a fitness professional or a gym owner, by simply being able to help you with your passion to serve more people, which in turn will serve your life as well.
Yeah. And so that's our topic today. And we picked this topic, Brendan, specifically for your audience, because I know it's not just gym owners. I know it is independent trainers. And even if it is a personal trainer that does work for another gym, I mean, heck, I reward my trainers. We cut a $250 check to each trainer that sends us that they meant, and we'll talk about it more today, of how to teach your staff to manufacture referrals. And all the stuff that we teach today is all stuff, if there's gym owners listening to this is all stuff that you should not only do yourself, but this is all stuff you should go home and teach your team to do, because then you have a multiplier effect of generating referrals. And I know Joe has a lot of really well built-in systems into his business to get his trainers to refer. So this is not just teaching the owner or the person that's doing the work to refer, but it's how do you create a multiplier effect to this. So I'm going to tee it off with one simple thought. Okay. And this is, I'm preaching to the choir here, but we have to get this out of the way, because I do believe there's lots of business. So I guess someone known for teaching marketing, right? And a lot of people come to me, it's like, I got to amp up my marketing. I got to amp up my marketing. I got to get my Facebook ad up. I got to do this and that. And, you know, my first question, all right, my first question to them is, what is your retention rate? Right? Because I didn't want anyone, write this down at home. You can't fill a leaking bucket. Like, you just can't. Okay. So the number one rule in referrals is to be referable. If you can't, you just have to get that down, because if your business is not good enough to generate referrals, a lot of the tactics that I teach in marketing, and a lot of the tactics that Joe will teach about joint ventures, and Joe's going to talk about, because Joe, you got to get into joint ventures, because Joe Hashey is the master Yoda of joint ventures, which I do believe. And the title of our topic is not just how to get more referrals, but how to get more referrals that never stop. It's something along those lines, right? And Joe's been able to do a phenomenal job of creating a very, very steady stream of referrals through joint venture relationships. But that's really, before we kick it off, is like, you got to seriously look at your product. And I know Coach Boyle would say the same thing. And that's what he talks about, right? It really does start with, do you do a good job on the floor? And if you don't do a good job on the floor, all the referral tricks and all the things that we teach you today, and we're going to talk about reward systems for referrals and omnipresence and all this kind of stuff. But if you're doing nothing of what we say, you still should get a certain amount. It's hard to decipher how much, but you should be getting a certain amount of referrals just by doing good work. The stuff we'll teach you today will be the stuff that accelerates it.
You don't want to get referrals to replace the people that you already have. That's not the goal.
No, because there's a reason why they're all leaving. So
yeah.
I'll pass this to Joe as someone, because I'd like you to talk about this too, as someone that has 750 members.
Yeah.
Quality control is something that you know a little bit about. So I guess I'll pose the question to Joe. Am I allowed to ask a question here, Brendan?
Oh yeah.
There's no rules today, right?
No rules. Just anything
right.
that puts Joe on the spot, I'm game for.
But Joe's a good person to talk about this, because for me, it's easy. We have, about 250 members. All right. It's easy for us to do a good job at 250 members, but at 750, you have to do something totally different. So I'll let Joe kind of steal the mic on how do you keep synergy referable when you're so big?
So there's a lot of pieces of it, Vince, and I'm glad you teed it up with being, first of all, referable. And the second piece of that is, after you progress to that level, is not just stopping with, when I ask the gym owner, like, how do you grow? They just say, I grow by word of mouth. Like, you have to be able to structure it in a system after you become referable, is to come up with a game plan. That's stuff we're sharing today. But I think Vince brings up a great point about keeping the quality of the service. You have to juggle, like, hey, I'm bringing in all these referees. Are my current members going to get fired up if their class sizes get too big? So you always have to balance doing things internal with doing external offers. So every 90 days, we'll do like a referral week focused, and then we'll usually follow with an internal member challenge, or we'll do it internal member challenge. We've tested it both ways beforehand. So people get amped up. We might just do something simple like an attendance-based challenge, give them some extra value, then ask for referrals. So it uses the law of reciprocity, that they want to help us back out because we just help them out a little bit more. If you're into Cialdini's laws of influence, reciprocity is a big one. So we follow that pretty strictly. So we're making sure we're giving to our members before we ask them of anything. So it's not an awkward situation. I'm sure you've been in those like sales situations where you're trying to ask for something that you probably don't deserve, and it feels really awkward. But if you first provide it, you have this more natural feeling of asking someone to come into your gym and be a part of something special.
That's awesome. Brendan, I have like a mini, just scribble down some notes here, but as I always will be prepared. So question is, do you want me to go over this, or do you have any questions you want to ask based on what we said so far?
I'm good right now. I don't want to steal the spotlight, so I'll ask my questions as we go along. But yeah, no, continue.
Okay, so this is something I have a program I teach called the 6-week new client surge, and that is essentially like a master's degree in marketing. And one of the modules is all on referrals, and I go through 4 parts, and basically I call it building a referral machine. And so what we'll do today is, we'll kick around just the 4 parts of the machine. And the first one, and Joe started to touch on it. Okay. The first part of a really good referral machine, because it's one thing to just, do stuff to get referrals. It's another thing to actually have it built into your business. So the first part is it's built into your systems. And I always use the example of trainers. The first thing they do when they walk to the gym, all right, is not turn the lights off, turn the lights on, but the first thing they do is they unlock the door, right? And they can't start the training session until they unlock the door. And unlocking the door is a system, right? And it's consistent, and it happens every time. And there's never a time that your gym trains people without unlocking the door. And that is the magnitude of how we teach referral generation. It's that important that it's got to be baked and built into your systems. And when you bake it and build it into your systems, then it becomes something that really works. And so that's so I'll give you an example. A lot of businesses on their operations will have things called checklists, right? And they'll have someone come in, and a new client's coming in, right? So for say, a new client's coming in, and the new client's like, okay, checklist is, did they fill out their health history questionnaire? Did they, get their FMS done? Did they have a first session, right? And there's a checklist of items. Majority of people do not have a checklist of, were they handed a referral gift card? Were they given, or did someone ask them, did they have a referral conversation? And that's what I mean about building it into your systems, is that good referral etiquette will happen when it's now automatic, and you don't have to think about what you're going to do that day. It just happens.
Or you're randomly sending emails whenever you think of it.
That's usually what happens. Oh, we need more clients. Yeah. Let's ask for referrals.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. We need more clients. Yeah. We should probably ask for referrals this week in a newsletter. Yeah. That's what usually happens.
Right. That's Connor wants to ask a question. That's up to Brendan. It's his show. Yeah. So we're just hired guns here. So
yeah, Connor, if you want to ask a question, go ahead. But Joe and Vince might be answering it later, so I'll let them.
Hopefully it's about the weather in Winnipeg. I like to.
Oh, can I go over audio? Yes.
Oh, Connor, yeah. He wants to go voice to voice. Connor's taking the show. I like it, Connor.
Wow.
Yeah, Connor's serious. All right, here we go. There you go, Connor. You're allowed to talk.
Hey, guys. Entered the chat. Hey, yeah, Connor. Yes.
Hey. How we doing, guys?
Good. What's up, Connor?
Good, man. Yeah, just want a quick question there for Vince. So when you're talking about building into your systems, like, is that, can you kind of elaborate a little more on, like, is that through kind of like sort of like the director role, or is that kind of filtered down into the trainers? Like, kind of how sort of is that sort of filtered down throughout the whole facility?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really would depend on who's. I mean, the way I look at referral generation, it's so important that I would put it under the marketing. And even though that there's a lot of operational things that happen, it still needs to be looked at as the importance of marketing, is the importance of this must be done. So I would say that the person that really would be overseeing the results of this would be the marketing person. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person's going to do everything. It really just means that they're going to make sure that that stuff is getting done. Is that clear it up a little bit?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
You got it.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in on that just a little bit. I think Vince articulated something really important there as you grow out. Like, someone has to be responsible for this, not two people. Not like, hey, we're all kind of in charge of referrals. One person needs to do the leadership, management, and holding accountable to get the referral. So Vince articulated that very well, but the person in the marketing role is the one that is tracking it and pushing it. They're not necessarily the ones doing it. So, like, for example, for Connor, a tactic for us is when someone signs up, we ask them if they have a friend, family member, or coworker that would like to join their next session. Now, the marketing person is not going out to all of our facilities and talking to every individual person, but when she gets a sign-up sheet, she'll ask the trainer, did you ask them for the referral? So she's collecting the data. So we have one person to talk to, but that is a tactic that she's in charge of having the trainers do.
And here's another point there, Connor, and it's a great question. What is worth doing is worth measuring. So I do believe it's a great thing for you to measure referral generation. So we measure, obviously we use something called a scoreboard. Joe and I both use something called a scoreboard, where we look at weekly the metrics of what's going on in our business, which is essential for any business to look at how many leads you got, how many consultations were booked and stuff like that. But we also look at how many referrals were generated in that week. And when we sit around in the meeting, that when it gets around to the table, the person says, all right, we got 0 referrals for the last 3 weeks. We'll ask the question, all right, well, who owns referrals? Because someone's got to own it. Right now, a lot of times in a lot of situations, the owner of referrals and marketing will be the owner, right? In many cases. So, hey, it's as the owner of the business, you're in charge of making it rain. Okay, so you want to hold the things. Your job is to shift away the lowest value activities and to bring on the stuff that can bring your business the most value. So in many cases, the people listening to this, it might be you doing this, but it's an important job.
Right. Well, and I mean, the whole point of owning the business is, well, you got to work on the business. You don't want to work in your business. And that means that handing things over, like programming, is what you hire trainers for, as much as, because I guess I see a lot of gym owners still really hold on to that. Like, I do all the programming here, but that means you have less time to do stuff like bring in more people and make more money and make your trainers busier.
I think that's a good point that you both were making on making sure that you track it and make sure that you're shifting away the lowest level activities. And I just want to emphasize that. So if it's an owner of a business that's listening, we have a lot of stuff that goes through our heads. We're always thinking about our business. It could be about the summer t-shirts that we want to order, painting the wall in the gym, this new form we want to do, this new promo. And sometimes we verbalize that to our staff, who's already training people for 6 to 8 hours a day, and we're just overfilling them and they can't focus on one task. So if you want to drive referrals, you can just simply communicate to the staff, every week I'm going to ask you how many referrals you got, and just focus on that one thing and not dumping so much. Like, hey, what color do you think our shirts should be? What do you think we should do here? They only have a limited capacity, so you need to shift away the other activities that you might be overloading them with, and I'm guilty of it for sure, and just say, all right, we're going to focus on this, and I'm going to ask you just simply how many referrals. Let's share best practices every Monday, and that's the one thing we might discuss.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And honestly, Brendan, we could do a 2-hour show on just this, on the stuff that the owner shouldn't do and the stuff that they should do and what happens. Right. I just did a podcast, it came out today, I think, about burnout, right? And burnout happens from like just the owner doing too much. They overfunction. And a lot of it becomes from a lack of delegation. But I will say, that, you know, something like referral generation and creating referral systems and creating repeatable, reliable processes to put into your business that will continue to run that's really valuable. That's a really valuable thing to work on for a business owner.
So
I'm going to cut you off. I'm just going to do it.
I'm going to do
it. Right, and then I'm going to kick it back to Vince because he's got 3 more points on his referral machine.
Yeah. Joe's always keeping me on track. Always keeping me on track.
Hey, the train's running on time. This happened today in a leadership meeting that we have. So our woman who's in charge of marketing is doing a great job. She's very passionate about it. And we're coming off a 30-day promo and converting those people into members. And so she's hitting all the trainers up. Hey, can you tell me where these 6 people are? And like sending them a list. And she's like, well, why is anyone getting back to me? I said, well, you have to understand, how many hours a week do you train? How many hours today do you train? 0. She only sits around and thinks about this one topic, which is what she needs to do. How many hours did the person that you're asking for all this extra help do? They train 8 hours today or 6 hours or whatever it is, and they're following up with the members. So you need to simplify your communication to exactly what you want and not send them in a lot of different directions. And that just happened today, and she was able to simplify and got the point, and we're able to get the responses. Sometimes you have to go eyeball to eyeball. Sometimes you have to do phone, like email, text. Like, it soaks up a lot of time. You have to bake it into your system so you're respecting your staff's time and capacity by simplifying it first before you just throw up a bunch of crap on them and expect them to be able to bounce around, because you'll burn out your whole staff or people that you work with if you're just starting out.
Well, that was really worth cutting Brendan off for. I'll tell you that.
3 more, Vince. Back to topic. Go.
All right, let's go. Brendan has a question, but I'll not let him ask it. All right, part number 2 is intentional tactics. Intentional tactics. So I teach something called squirrel marketing. Right. And squirrel marketing is kind of what we said before. It's like, oh, I need clients. Oh, I lost 5 clients. Oh, I got to get a new client. And they act like a squirrel and they try and just chase around a client. Right. They just do stuff. And a referral machine is not stuff. A referral machine is very, very intentional. Okay. So what I'm going to go through is some very intentional strategies. Joint ventures is within this category, because I really do believe that it's one of the key drivers of getting a lot of good referrals is joint venture. So when I get to that point, I'm going to kick it to Joe as he is Yoda. But so the first intentional tactic that we used, I don't have my wallet. Oh yeah, here we go. Perfect. Because I brought props today. Today. So the first intentional tactic is something we kind of mentioned before. And that is, when anyone signs up for something, they're usually the most excited about it right when they sign up. There's something that in your brain, you science geeks might have heard of it. It's the reticular activating system. And what that's, when you go and you're searching for cars, and let's say you're looking for a Jeep Cherokee, you want to buy a Cherokee, and you go to the dealer once and you don't buy it and you come back, and then all of a sudden all you see is Cherokees. Well, that's your reticular activating system in your brain lit up. Okay. And the same thing happens when someone buys a membership. They are the most excited they're ever going to be when they sit down with you and they sign on the dotted line, and they're excited about getting started, because we all both know that once you're 4 weeks into this shit, it's like, oh man, I got to go to the gym again. But the first day, they're really excited. So that's when they're most likely to refer, right? They're most likely to refer when they're really excited. And your business or your sessions with them, whatever you're a trainer, whatever, is on their top of mind the most at that period of time. So I'm going to share 2 strategies. One that is something we've used for many, many years, but did slip a little bit. The results of this did slip because of something called COVID-19, where people actually weren't around each other. So this is something that we gave to every client that came in. And now I don't have time to get into the conversation today, right? There's very specific words and very specific language that we used to have the conversation with them about this card. But this card is black, and obviously it's black. It's also metal. So I don't know. Let me see if you can hear this. Did you hear that? You hear that? So it's bulletproof too. But essentially, when you hand this across the desk, as soon as they get it in their hands, there's almost like this feeling that they have is like, oh, I can't keep this. Like I gotta give this to somebody. And these things are so heavy, they actually like weigh down your wallet. And every once in a while, I sometimes keep 3 of these in my wallet. at once. And my wallet feels like it's 10 pounds from these, but they're heavy. They take up real estate. And many of these have come back. And what this is this is a free 30-day membership that they can give as a gift. But the key is that it's an intentional, right? Every time we sign up a new client, we give them this card. Okay. And so that's one example of using intentional referral tactics. Okay. I'll give you one more that we had to shift towards. Okay. We had to shift towards. So what we did was people that could not hand this card out, we weren't able to get these cards out to people. So what we had to do is we had to create a landing page. Okay. And the landing page basically was a private landing page that we only gave the link to our clients. Now, I'm going to give the actual page out on this podcast, but please don't fill it out because you're going to send my staff like down a rabbit hole and they will hunt you down. And I don't care if you live in Washington, Leo will call you and he'll call you until you actually like schedule a trial. So if you want to be hounded, if you want to you might want to do it to see what good sales is. All right. Yeah. But so the website is refer.gabrielfitness.com. Okay. And what that is that's a landing page that we give to our clients to send that landing page to give as a gift. So instead of people that can't hand this card out, we then sent them the link to the landing page and gave them actionable steps to refer. So you do have to adapt over time. Like the black cards was one of our big drivers for referrals. COVID hit. This is gone. This is out. This is not a strategy anymore. It does not work. And so what you have to do is you have to find other things that are intentional. But now I almost like it even better because now we can text them the link. We can email them the link. We can give them instructions on it. And you'll see there's a video on it for your listeners. They should just honestly copy the page. It's a pretty simple landing page so they could easily copy.
Will you go back to the cards?
Sorry?
Will you still do the cards now that
I don't know. I do have this other idea. I haven't done this yet, but I have this other idea that I've come up with. I don't like to talk about things that I haven't put into action yet. But I will tell you the idea, but I will position it with I have not implemented this yet. So the idea is I give cards like this out to my top 15 clients, and instead of them passing it out, there's a QR code on the back, and we teach them to teach them to tell people how to do it, to take their phone out, to scan the QR code, and then they put it back on their wallet. They don't give them the card. They keep the card, but only a certain number of people get them. So it's like a privilege or something like that. That's my next idea of the card to
like a platinum Visa card.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
So I got a few of those.
What's that? Platinum Visas?
Yeah. I borrowed Mike's. That's why.
Oh, Mike Boyles.
Yeah, Mike Boyles. Yeah.
He's probably got a couple of those. Yeah.
He's probably got a few.
Yeah, he's got a few. Very cool. Oh, he's the best. So those are just two examples. So that's really part 2 of the system is you're doing things that are intentional in nature and they're built into your business. And I'm going to give one more and then I'm going to send Joe to joint ventures. Okay. So those are ones that we do all the time, right? All the time. Yeah. But there also are event-based intentional strategies that you can use. Best example we've used is something called the holiday gift card. And the holiday gift card is when we give them, and I got this idea from a guy named Tom Plummer, but to give credit where credit is due. But many of our clients have gone off and done very well with this. But we give them a card like this. It's a little different than this. It's more of it's presented in a gift. And we give this one to all of our clients. Okay, all of our clients. And then they now are sent out to give that as a gift. So what it does is it takes away a Christmas gift that they have to give. So we're crossing a Christmas gift off their list because they can just go in and use this referral strategy. We only do this in the first week of December. So we hand the cards out the December 1st, and then they are able to use them. So that's not something we use year round. That's something that's an event, but it's an intentional strategy that is part of our business. We use it every year. We've used it for the last, I'd probably say close to a decade. I wouldn't say a decade, probably like 7-8 years. We've used that strategy. But it's just like, I don't even think about it anymore. The front desk says, all right, it's December 1st. Let's get these cards out, and they're out. And so that's what I'm saying about being intentional, but also baking it into the business. So we're kind of rehashing there. Now, the big one I'm going to leave you guys with and let Joe take over is joint venture relationships. I believe joint venture relationships are a way that you can create a very large amount of very high quality clientele that's almost as good as a referral from a client. Difference could be you're getting referrals, but they may not be from your clients. They may be referrals from Joe. Will talk about all the different strategies that he used, but joint venture marketing is a very big part of both of our businesses. I've learned a ton from Joe and different strategies. Joe has a presentation that he did. It's like, we call it the historic joint venture presentation, where Joe did he was supposed to do like 30 minutes on joint ventures. He ended up going like 3.5 hours or something like that. And it was just like, everyone was just like, we went like an hour late to lunch that day, because it was just, everyone had so many questions and getting so many things. But we have that on video. And I'm telling you, that's the most watched presentation that we have in our private members group by far. So Joe knows what he's doing on joint ventures, and I'll pass the reins to him.
I think I peaked at that first presentation, because I've now been pigeonholed as a joint venture guy, so I've been given 2 subsequent ones. But for the sake of this video and podcast, if that's what it's going to be used for, I want to break it down to some actionable steps. So I'm going to simplify it. So joint ventures, you can also call it community relationships. JVs are kind of the internet term that got thrown out there. Basically, you need to find places in your community that your target demographic frequents or is employed by. So either they shop there or they work there. The easiest way to find this out is to look at your target members that are in your gym and ask them where they work and where they shop. Just don't go around guessing. You throw out a survey like, oh, where's some places in town that you love to go? And we put that in our private members page, and we get 100+ responses of places in town they love to go. And then we identify one that would be a good referral relationship for us, and we ask them to introduce us to that person. So, for example, mom says, hey, I love to send my kids to this gymnastics studio. This is just one. I did a different one in the presentation, but this is one more recently. And I said, oh, that'd be awesome. We haven't met them yet. They're by one of our newer locations. Would you mind sending this email to introduce us? And I pre-wrote the email, and she sent it over to them. And the next day we're having lunch with them, and they are sending out an email for us to refer their moms into our gym that drop their kids off at gymnastics practice. So it was a matter of first of all, picking the right places, getting the intro, and then invite them in. When you invite them in, I think some people would be surprised by Vince's card. That is such a generous offer. That is the way you have to do it from the way we've done. Like, you can't just say, hey, could you put my poster up that says 10% off? Like, you're going to get nobody. You have to give them an offer that is attractive enough for them to take action, regardless of whether they know you or not. The 30-day pass is a great one that has tremendous value. If you're doing one-on-one personal training, that's tough to scale. Maybe it's 3 free sessions. If it's small group, maybe it's 5 sessions. Maybe it's a consult. Maybe it's an in-body. Whatever it is, has to be low friction and not a monetary thing for them to pay. It's got to be an attractive offer. It can't be just like 10 or 15 or like $10 off your first package. They need to really be serious about building the relationship. So you're setting up that company that's saying, hey, I'm going to introduce you to these people up as like the hero. Like, I'm going to give you a 30-day pass to this facility that's usually $200 to $500 a month because you're a member here at this gymnastics studio, or you're an employee of this place. Basically, we use the same offer over and over again. Or you frequent this running store is one that we have a partnership with, just for our people who do our shoe scanning or whatever they do, a gait analysis of what it is for shoes. We'll also hook you up with a pass to Synergy, and they're referring in people who are looking to get fit and getting into running. So they're our ideal clients. And so we've identified these places, we've built the relationships, And now we're driving tons of community referrals, not just from members. So I want to encourage people who are listening to think of referrals as bigger than asking your members to bring a buddy. That's a great place to start. You should do it. We just had a buddy week go on last week. We have another one coming up in 2 weeks, but it's not just for buddies. We niche it down to a teacher's appreciation week, because we went out to a lot of end of school, elementary and middle school field days. Our coaches ran booths, and now the school districts are sending out offers to their staff to come in for our teachers buddy week, because we know that we have a lot of teachers that come to our gym because we asked and we identified them, and we gave something to their school, asked them to come in. And I think that one will end up being huge for us.
Joe, can I make a quick point on that?
Yep.
Because I want to just, so he mentioned buddy week, and I think it kind of speaks exactly to what we were saying before. Lots of people randomly will do a buddy week. They're like, oh, like it's the same thing we were saying, but oh, I need clients, let's do a buddy week. If you look on Joe Hashey's calendar at Synergy, I think you do one every quarter, right? Yep. So like every quarter there's a buddy week. There's never like a quarter where they don't have a buddy week. It's just like part of the business. It's like unlocking the door. And I think that, like, you know, Joe is like a clinic in building these referral systems inside his business. But I just wanted to make that point, that buddy week was not a random thing. That buddy week was a very intentional tactic that he used.
No, I just mentioned earlier in the chat that we had a 30-day promo, or summer slim down. We had a lot of people join it, and that they need to convert here in the next 7 days. So we ran a buddy week so they can bring their friends. And now what's the likelihood of they're going to convert if they're bringing in buddies? It makes our lives a lot easier. So we strategically dropped that during near the end of our summer slim down.
It's almost evil.
And we had more buddies than I thought. I was actually not here for buddy week. I was out of the state traveling, and got back and like, oh, we got 17 buddies coming in at these facilities. All right, great. Like, it was on the calendar. They executed on it.
Everyone wants to see their vaccinated buddy. That's why.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Bring their buddies in. So back to the community relationship piece, there's a lot of valuable relationships and a lot of good you can do in your community. So it's just not a tit for tat situation. Come with value, give value. We went and did these field days for the schools, regardless if they send people over. We just wanted to do something cool in the community. And it gives us a lot of value as trainers and business owners to go out and do these things. Brendan's now doing some strength and conditioning coach for a football program. One of our first things is we would go and run warm-ups for youth football. Like the first day of practice, we have, hey, you got a lot of volunteer coaches. We're going to teach them these 5 warm-up movements that'll help keep their kids healthy. And they would love it. We'd go out to the practice, we do it. The organization would send an email out referring in the parents. And then at the end of the year, the kids too, into our programs, because we went and brought value to them. And regardless of them doing them or not, we would, but we know to ask and follow up and ask for those sort of things. And they're happy to do it.
That's great, Joe. So I'll piggyback.
I have so many questions, but I'm not gonna.
We keep cutting you off. We keep bullying you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Brendan, you're not allowed to ask any questions on your own podcast.
You can bully me. It's okay.
No.
So I'll add one more thing and then move on to number 3. Sometimes money talks. So there is also a strategy, and I'll give an exact example that I did last week, and this is as fresh as can be. So we have our Gabriele Fitness is my gym, but we rebranded our sports performance. So we used to do sports performance as well, but we rebranded it as a separate company, and we launched that actually during the pandemic. And what I did was, we have a joint venture, the local PAL here, and I sent a text to the guy that runs the PAL, and I asked him, I said, hey, we've done a ton of stuff with them back and forth and stuff like that, but it hasn't been as consistent because of the pandemic and everything. And I texted him and said, hey, our summer camp's around the corner. Would you be open to sending 2 emails for us for $1,000? And so $1,000 donation. So I made $1,000 donation, okay, to the PAL. We made our money back even in the first 5 seconds that the first email went out. And we're now, a second email went out Sunday night. So the second one already went out. We're right now at 70 leads and over 5,000 in initial sales from these 2 emails. Okay. So a lot of sometimes too, if you have urgent things to do and you need something sent, it's definitely something when you're doing like a time sensitive program, you can get your joint ventures to send stuff for you. But the key is there's a relationship that back that up, right? I didn't just randomly not know this guy, right? I've had a relationship with this guy for the last 13 years. And since we have a relationship, since I'm an active sponsor, he was more than happy to do it. He would have done it for free. He would have, if I asked him to do it, he would have done it for free. But the money, sometimes showing up with the money will make this stuff happen like that. And they will send it whenever and whenever you want. And they'll do it again for you because, they enjoy that. Here's the one thing I want to say to this, and I'm going to move on. And this is off topic of referrals, but anyone that is listening to this that runs a business must know the lifetime value of a customer. And if you don't know the lifetime value of a customer, you'll never write that $1,000 check. I wrote that $1,000 check easily, not because I'm swimming in cash, because I know that $1,000 check to that list will give me a return on my investment. I was 1,000% confident that $1,000 was going to give me a return. I knew I was going to make my money back guaranteed. And I was 99% sure I was going to well exceed it. Right. And so when you know the number of a lifetime value of a customer, right? So one athlete for us that signs up for the summer camp is $400 for the summer camp. 2.5 athletes were there. So that is a really important thing. And that's not even lifetime value. That's initial sales. So when you know the lifetime, these checks become much easier to write. Okay. Brendan, do you have a question? No, I'm going to go to number 3. No, this
number
is
4.
Fun.
Go to number 4. Then we'll give him 10 minutes
No,
at the end.
Yeah, I'll ask at the end.
So number 3 is rewards. Number 3 is rewards. Is what do you do when someone sends you a referral? Okay. Now, Brendan, I want to publicly thank you for sending me a referral. You're
welcome.
Our program up on your site. I don't know where it was or whatever, but you put it up there, and all of a sudden someone called and said, Brendan put the thing up on the site, and he called and he signed up for my service program. Okay. And so Brendan sent me a message today thanking me for what did you get? I don't even know.
The Zingerman's box. I got a couple oatmeal cookies, coffee. I can't remember what else I got, but I ate the cookies immediately, and we're enjoying the coffee now.
Well, and that's another thing about a system. So I didn't even know what you got. I just texted Jill and said, Brendan Rurik sent us a referral. Please take care of him. And she did it. And, maybe it's a little less personal, but the reality is it's better if it actually gets done. Right. And so that's an example. So you have to reward. So Brendan, and I'm Jedi mind tricking Brendan right now, is going to continue to send us many, many referrals because I've sent him oatmeal cookies and coffee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the more referrals Brendan sends us, the more oatmeal and coffee he will get. And you'll see in the system here, the rewards actually get better as you send more. But this is something that we do. But you have to reward. People will refer you once, but if they don't feel appreciated after they refer, there's a good chance they're not going to refer again. So you need some kind of a system that rewards clients when you refer. Now, that system could be as simple as a handwritten card. Right? Anyone at home can do that. You should have stationery in your here's a great tip. Have stationery wherever you work, have a stack of stationery and envelopes right there. So it's like 2 seconds for you to grab a piece of stationery and then write someone a handwritten note. It's right there. Sometimes there you go. Perfect.
Right there. That's exactly what Jenny and I do.
Yeah, it's a beautiful idea. So that is step number 3. So step number 3 is having some kind of a system, even if it's as simple as a handwritten card, that there's something that you're doing every time someone sends you a referral. So at GFP, we do handwritten cards. We'll do Yeti mugs are a gift. Base the gift around what they would value, right? So my clients at GFP, they're not, none of them are starving. So me giving them like a $50 Amazon gift card, right, wouldn't really go that far. But me giving them something cool like a Yeti mug, or like a we actually, our 3rd tier gift is a cast iron pan. We actually send them a pan in the mail. Yeah, but it's different, right? It's different. And
I'm shooting for the pan. I want the pan.
Well, so the pan is takes us to point number 4. Okay, because there's a whole point number 4 about the pan. Joe, do you have anything on gifts you want to say?
Nope. Oh, you wanted a drink? Yeah,
I knew he was going to say that.
He's the joint venture guy.
I only present on the one thing. And what you said was important, that you tried not to make it as transactional as some people would do. Like, send me a member and you get $50.
Correct.
Like, I've seen that a lot. I don't think the transactional style works as well as gifting something that's more meaningful, including a handwritten card. We do a lot of handwritten cards. So.
No, Joe, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a good point. We do not advertise a gifting system, right? So I do not advertise that we're going to send them Yeti mugs and we're going to send them. But I do not do that at all. That is a surprise. We want them to refer for the right reasons. We want them to refer because they love us and we're doing a good job, and they have friends that they know we can help. They're not going to, if we said, hey, here's, as I said before, a gift card, they're not going to do it. Now, in some instances that could work. In some markets that does work. But for us, we've had a much better success with more of just a reward system after the fact. And the point of that is that they continue. All right. So the final piece of the system is something called Omnipresence. Okay. Now, why would I give a cast iron pan to someone as a gift? It seems so stupid. Well, the reason is that every time someone uses that cast iron pan, Brendan, who are they going to think about?
Oh yeah, I know.
When
Gabriele.
Yeah, right. When you drink coffee,
awesome cast iron pan. I ate the cookies already though, so
yeah, and you're like, thanks, Vince, right?
Still got pieces coming out of your beard. Like,
yeah.
But that's the whole point of Omnipresence, is to do intentional things that your business, the logo of your business, the gifts that you give from your business, all of that stuff is now on their top of mind. And when you're on their top of mind more, there's a better chance that they're going to talk about you. And as we said earlier, all referrals happen from a conversation, right? Referrals happen from two people conversing about a certain thing. And so the more your business is in their mind, the more likely they are to refer. So the best example is t-shirts, right? T-shirts are a great example. You should be giving those things out, because when they're wearing that shirt, it's not so much of other people seeing the shirt and being like a walking advertisement. It's for them to wear it and for them to put it on and for them to be thinking about you more. And so that's the fourth piece, is making sure that you're intentionally doing things to take up real estate in their homes, to take up real estate on their cars. I'll give an example. What I just did recently, a newspaper ad, and I did a two-page spread. One side was the ad for our summer camp. The other side was a poster for people to put on their refrigerator. And the poster was a checkbox of all things is for our sports performance camp. Is the poster it had a little checkbox of things that kids could do to get healthy. So like get stronger, run faster. And it was like an interactive thing. And so people were taking that, and I actually had a woman post that post the thing on her private forum. And I had no idea who she was. She posted it on a private community forum. And we ended up getting a bunch of sign-ups because she put this picture up on there that she had up. So trying to find things that you can do to take up real estate in their homes. Now, I have no shame. Joe Hashey is much more modest than me. Like, I am all about self-aggrandizement. Like, I put my, I'm like Frank's Red Hot. Like, I put my face on everything. So this is a daily planner, right? So so I send this out to our mastermind. Now, so there's a very specific reason for this. Okay. Now, it's not weekly planner, it's daily planner. And this means that they have to fill this out every day. Okay. And this means that they have to look at my disgusting, bushy eyebrowed face every day that they fill out this daily planner. Right. And that's exactly what I want. Now, that's an example of what I use in my coaching business. But here's another one. A mug. So when they're drinking coffee in the morning, they're thinking about the SPF Mastermind. You could do the same thing for your gym. Coffee mugs. And the goal is to always be on top of mind awareness. That is the Omnipresence section. So there's are your 4 steps, or the 4 parts of the referral machine. You can ask questions now, Brendan.
Or Connor, or anybody else.
Or Connor.
Go ahead.
Anyone else?
Connor, go first. Go ahead, Brendan.
So as mentioned in the beginning, we have a lot of people on here who are just trainers. They're not business owners, and they're usually trainers who work. They're not an employee, they're an independent contractor. So therefore, I am my own business, right? So I'm assuming you can still use the 4 principles, but does it change based off of me being an individual versus these larger scale type referrals, or is it all the same?
So here's the conversation I would have with that trainer. Okay. So the way to get on my bad side is to walk into my office and ask me for more money because you deserve it. Okay. And I've had this conversation with my trainers.
I know another guy who gets mad about that too.
Who mistakenly did that and got his head bit off. But here's what I will tell the people is I would go to their owner with a proposal.
Okay.
And for them to go and say, hey, I was on this podcast and I learned some things about referral generation that I think could really help us get more clients. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to propose that I start helping the business generate more referrals. And my proposal is this, is as this starts to work and more people sign up for memberships, I'd like to arrange some type of compensation for the referrals that I bring in.
Finder's fee.
That's what I would say to someone who is a smart trainer that they create it. If you want to get ahead, you have to add value. You can't just ask for more. You got to add value. And so this is a way that he can add value to the business by helping it do this, but also make more money at the same time, but not saying, if I do this, then I get this. It's more of a proposal. That's how I think people should attack these things as, hey, I have an idea. I have a proposal for you. What do you think of this? What owner is going to say no to that? So that's something that I think they could do. I don't know if Joe has anything different.
So just to add to that, I would go with that if you're in that type of situation. If you're like doing things independently in a bigger spot, I would just go with The minimum effective dose. Choose one tactic that we've talked about today and focus all your energy on making it successful. So it could be one of Vince's 4 things. It could be the referral card. It could be establishing some joint ventures. Choose one and ride it out until it's successful, and don't just hop around like, oh, I did a buddy week and I only got one person. Oh, darn, that stinks. Well, you need to make it work before you jump around. So choose something that's practical for you and stick with it until you can make it work.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a step into, you know, the Seth Godin has a Seth Godin has a book called Linchpin. That was a mouthful. Yeah. Seth Godin has a book called Linchpin. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. It's all about like making yourself more important and more valuable within your business. And so that's a way that people can do that, because I will say this is that, and I know that, you know, the training knowledge is what you guys teach, right? But at some point, right, you're probably going to get to a level so high, there ain't many clients that you can even work with that level of knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. And that's like, you know, when I was doing ACL post rehab training, right? It was really high-end training, like really high-end coaching, but there was only a small amount of people that stuff was working with, because there weren't that many people that, you know, were at that level or had torn ACLs. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, try to make yourself indispensable would be a great idea.
I don't see any other questions, so I'm going to ask another one. Have either of you ever used like reward apps or reward points like Starbucks has? Like, I bought you buy 5 coffees and now you get a third of whatever one free, or you gather points for every time you show up, and then you get a prize or a reward. Have either of you ever tried using a reward system or an app?
I'll go first. No.
I'll go second. No.
Okay, perfect.
And the caveat to that is we're both somewhat old school. You know, okay. Joe's coming up to 40 years old, you know. So
yeah. You just had the birthday. Well,
I'm into it. I'm a couple years into it. But we used the spreadsheet, you know, and to keep track of referral rewards and what to give them. So no.
Yeah, and cool. Here's my reasoning why. It's not that those things necessarily won't work or don't work. That you might be, if you want to make that your primary focus. Those tend to work more in a digital capacity if you're only doing products or services online, and you need a way to incentivize them, because you're going to have lower usage if you're just doing online stuff, and it's tougher to make them sticky. So maybe something like that to incentivize them and get them some sort of reward may work in that type of situation. But we've are focusing just our energy on different systems. So it's not to talk bad about them. It's just that we don't want to add a new system. We often look at everything we do in our company and say, what can we stop doing? Not what can we do new, because we have so much going on. So that's our reasoning.
I will say this, that if you look at some of the, so I tell the story of HelloFresh, and HelloFresh has an unbelievable system for referral rewards where you can they text you and you can text to a friend very easily. And then soon as you text them the reward, you get like a credit to your thing. So it's like this whole, it's much beyond the Joe Hashey and myself tech advances. But hey, you never know at some point. But I think that using technology is the farthest we go has been to use the landing page, which it gets people for the free trial.
So based off of what you guys both said and the examples you gave, it sounds like you have your systems for when they sign up, then you have your things that you introduce every 90 days, and then you have your yearly, what you called kind of events. Is that correct?
So mostly you're missing one important one that we didn't mention. So you didn't miss in your notes. Those were good notes. Is that conversational ones. So when someone's like, hey, this happened tonight when I was over at the facility a couple hours ago working out, lady came up and said, this is I went to golf for the first time this year, and I was driving the ball further, and I actually felt like this lady's like 60. I felt like a golfer for the first time in my life because I got to hit it a little further, and I could actually hit it, get it on the green. And I credit that all to the strength that I've gotten from your trainers here. And I said, wow, it's amazing. We'd love to share that with someone else in their golf group. Do you have anyone that wants to try out a free week? So there's like conversational ones that flow where you're being generous with your offer still, but you're inviting them in when they compliment or credit your facility for doing something amazing in their life.
Damn it, Joe. I had that in my notes too, and I didn't say it. And I will say, yeah, that is something that I would do yourself, but also train your staff to do. Because how many times, like when I ask people this and I say, hey, when was the last time someone said something great, like what happened to Joe just now? That probably happens every day to your listeners, right? Every day someone's coming after you. And if you took that every day, and some people may not feel comfortable asking for a referral. If they don't, they should start working on that. But the second thing is maybe you ask for a testimonial, right? Which also drives referrals. Testimonials would be great for us. So that's a perfect example of, I feel like a golfer for the first time in my life. That's a great testimonial. All right. Or before I couldn't drive the ball, 50 feet, and now I'm driving the ball 200 yards or whatever. I don't know golf very much. Right. But there's a great, so asking the question of, we call it the referral testimonial conversation. Ideally, you're going to get a referral from that conversation like Joe did, right? But secondary would be a testimonial, getting them to do a Google review, getting them to do something like that. But don't let that compliment go to waste. Use it.
Yeah, I feel like if you're an independent trainer, that's probably the easiest one to start with, and that doesn't cost you anything. Like that's where I think a lot of people might get stuck with this. It's like, well, I don't want to pay someone $1,000 for an email. I don't want to have to buy these metal. I'm sure those metal cards ain't cheap. But like you're saying, if you're thinking it as the lifetime value of the client, but as an independent trainer, yeah, you are on your own. You don't generally have a huge marketing budget. So a lot of these things that you guys have mentioned don't cost you anything. And if it's time, I mean, that's part of the deal if you want more people.
Go get it. Go get some joint ventures. That solves every problem always. Go get someone in your community to consistently refer people to your services.
Yeah. Cool. So can you just go through the 4 again, Vince, please?
Yeah. So number one is that it's built into your culture and systems, right? It's the way you do business. Number 2 is that you're using specific tactics. You're doing specific things that are intentional in nature and not accidental. And number 3 is you're rewarding people that refer. And number 4 is you're exercising omnipresence, meaning you're doing things and you're taking up real estate in their homes. You have your shirts on their back. Your shirts are on their backs, and your business is on their top of mind. So those are the 4 different stages.
Awesome. Joe, anything to add, or does anybody have any questions in the attendance? With Connor and Eric, you're still here. Joe, anything to add?
So I don't want people to feel overwhelmed by this topic because we really went kind of like a little master class in an hour, but it depends where you're at in your professional career, and just choose a couple things and execute on them. So just going back to my last point, just choose a couple things and execute them, because you could be telling me like, hey, I always allow members to bring a buddy when they want. Unless you actually have like those weeks too, they'll forget about it. Like you always have to remind them. Just because you said it once doesn't mean you're always top of mind. So you need to keep showing up, like Vince said, with omnipresence, but also with different ways to refer, speak to them in a different path. And you can do the majority of what we're talking about for absolutely free.
Yeah, I love you said low friction, Joe, when you were talking about something. I think that's the best way to think about it. What is low friction that I can easily do and do it consistently and start there?
Yeah, we just did one to just choose the next date that's coming up. We just did one for Father's Day. Anyone have a dad they want to bring in? Anyone have a mom they want to bring in last month? The when we're recording this, we just had school sports going on. Does anyone have an athlete or a sibling that they want to bring? School's coming out. Does anyone have a sibling they want to bring? Like direct them in almost to the point where someone pops up in their mind and they have to invite that person in. Just don't say that, hey, does anyone have anyone that would like to come in at any time? Like be a little bit more specific, and I think it'll be all good.
Well, and like you said, you even wrote an email for somebody to send for you because you took away all the barriers. I mean, that's what you really have to do.
Exactly.
That's an important point. You know, Joe glossed over that pretty quickly. And like the true joint venture pro that he is, didn't even, these people don't want extra work. You know,
Right.
They don't want to do extra work. And so if you say, yeah, write an email, that's like that most people aren't good at writing emails to begin with, and to do it for someone else. So yes, take away as many barriers as you can.
Vince, you got time for a quick question?
Yes, sir.
So you're like the four steps with the refer machine you were kind of referring to. So those, like, you guys were referencing your guys' gyms that are obviously pretty established in the industry. If for somebody that's kind of just getting off the ground, either like as a private trainer or even starting their own facility, would these change at all, these 4 steps? Like, were there anything you would add or take out, or is it pretty similar?
So the 4 steps would definitely not change. The reality was you would do a lot less within those 4 steps. So I'll give you an example. Built it into your systems. That's more of a mindset thing, right? That's what I want you to start thinking about. There's a way of thinking about your business that there are specific things that you do in your business, and start to move referral generation into that. Okay. Let's say we just pick one intentional referral tactic, and let's just say you borrow Joe Hashey's Bring a Buddy, and every quarter, right? Every 90 days, you do a Bring a Buddy week where you ask your clients to bring a buddy. And that's it. Like, that's the only thing you do. Just do that one. Okay. But then if you do get a referral, write them a handwritten note.
Right.
Right. And the Omnipresence thing is, I'm sure you're probably already doing that. You're giving out t-shirts, and you know what I'm saying? So just simplify it. You still can use all the steps, but you just wouldn't, like, most of the stuff that I talked about today. I mean, Joe Hashey has probably, I don't know how many joint venture relationships he has. I mean, there's a ton of them that he's managing, but he's got a team of 15 people that are managing all this stuff. So I think you can still do all the steps. You're just going to do a lot less within the steps.
Okay. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you being on here and sharing yourselves with us. Do you both want to just share real quick where people can find out more about you and about your masterminds? I know you both have one.
I'll be the opening act again for Vince. Let him be the grand finale. So I do some high-level one-on-one coaching at Level Up Your Gym. But honestly, I've been spending more time with Vince in his group because he's been able to reach more people. And so I do some one-on-one stuff independently. I've been fortunate enough to be a business coach at the SPF Mastermind. So I would actually direct you to Vince's material because he's got a lot of amazing things. So Vince, I'll let you take it away and tell him where to go.
I'm going to push it right back and say, if, anyone, I don't really do one-on-one coaching, and anyone that comes to me that wants it, I send them directly to Joe anyway. So I push it back to Joe, levelupyourgym.com. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching, if you want to join us in the mastermind, or you want to join us in one of our courses or anything like that, probably the best place to start is just to get a free copy of my book. Just go to vincesfreebook.com. It's vincesfreebook.com. And
that's really tough to remember.
My free book.
There's like a picture of you on it, like with the eyebrows and everything. Just
no.
cartoon Vince.
But yeah, and then so you get the book, and then you'll get a bunch of emails, and I'll spam you for the rest of your life, with gobs and gobs of emails, and teach you how to market. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, get the book. We'll ship it out to you, and hopefully you get a read. And there's a chapter in the book on referrals. A lot of the stuff that we talked about today is also in the book as well.
Yeah, excellent books. Our marketing team has read both of them, so I would definitely go to Vince's free book and start there.
Is it the black book behind you?
It's this one, yep.
Yeah, I've read that one too. I love it.
Have you? Oh, good.
Yeah, I love the stuff on.
Have you read the sales book?
No, I've not read the.
I'm gonna put a package together for you.
All right.
I'm gonna get you a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I'll drink out of a Yeti cooler too, and eat lots of.
Oh wow, it's getting pushy. It's getting pushy, Hashey.
Yeah.
Oatmeal raisin cookies. No, I'm kidding. No, I'd love to read it.
Well, I'm cooking eggs in my cast iron skillet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to push it that far.
That's good. Brendan, I appreciate you having us on as always. I always have a great time chatting with you, and obviously with Vince. I'll actually be down spending time at his house in a couple of days.